And we are live.
Let's go.
What's up, guys? We do these calls whenever we whenever we want to show up.
Yep.
And so we're starting 7 minutes behind schedule today, but that's all good.
I
This is what
think
we
that
do for
I'm
fun.
the notoriously late one here.
Yeah, you are. It is your fault.
It probably bothers
99.
your military
Oh,
and
dude.
yeah. I'm
I
Mr.
am one of
Perfect.
those people that I am on time for everything. And actually I take that back. Personal things I will be late for. I like if it's like a complete like just a personal I don't know, like something personal I'll be late for. But anything involved in business, I'm like a Nazi with my schedule, man. I'm like on the dot every single time.
Dude,
And if I am late, I will hop on the call and I'll be like, "Hey, I'm on. I'm running like 1 minute behind. Let me finish this up." And I always find that ends calls very easily.
so wait, you end. So wait, hold up. So let's say what
Yeah.
for me, how do you do this? Because this is what I find is I get on this call, shit takes, a couple minutes too long. You just tell me at the end of the call,
Mm.
hey, I got a hard stop. I do that sometimes. I don't
No,
do
they
it.
don't care. They don't care. What I'll do is like I'll have like for example, I have a call after this, and you could see me do. I think I've done this on one of these before. I'll jump in the meeting. So if it's like a Google Meets and the other one's like I do it on Google Meets, you can open up two at the same time. I'll jump in and I'll be like, "Hey Chandler, hold on. Hey guys, I'm just finishing up a call. I'll be on in 30 seconds." And then like, what are you going to do? You're going to ask me a bunch of questions at the end because it's like you're going to make these other people wait. So I find that's a good way to be like punctual because people will just continue to ask you questions and questions and questions. So like that's how I make sure that I'm
like
good with my time.
I like that. Now, one other caveat is what if you're hopping on another Zoom call and Zoom makes you end the meeting when you hop on the other one?
I don't use Zoom. Or you could let somebody in the Zoom room. You could let someone in. You could be like, "Hey, I'm just let them in," and then I've seen people do that. I think that's baller.
That's
Like
pretty
you let
savage.
someone in, you're just like, "Oh, they're just waiting there." You're like, "Hey, hold on, I'm gonna wait for. I got like 10 seconds to finish this up," and then you're like, "What's up, Chandler? What other questions did you have?" That's another way to get around that.
I've done that with like my team. Be like, yo, just give me a second. Let me, and then then they hop off or whatever. But
Yeah, just let them in. Let them in the room.
that's pretty savage.
So we're going to talk about wholesaling today. You said one of your clients had a question. Let's jump
Yeah.
into it.
Well,
What
and
we
they
got?
also said that they really like our our show, and they like how we just call everyone retards and dumb fucks. So
Yeah, you. I can
so
confirm he did this with me. Yeah, I did that. I guess I did that to him. Was that Emmanuel that I did that to? We can show these comments on
It's
stage.
not.
Yeah, I do that
I
very often.
can confirm he did that with me. That's funny. Okay, so question is, these guys do direct agent. They do around 100K a month. Their KPIs roughly. So they sent it to me. They're about like 80 leads to a deal right now. They mostly do texting, and then they have a caller in their CRM who does follow up. I told them like there's a couple of different things they can do. So like they have one of the partners does acquisitions, the other one does kind of like everything else. And the guy who does acquisitions, basically they're trying to figure out how they can become more efficient and stay like they're running at like 80+% profit margin. So they're like, how can we keep doing this, run more, get more deals with what we have without having to bring on more people? And one of the things I said is like the acquisitions guy is going straight in and he's doing like talking to every new lead that comes in. They end up soft offering like 50%. So I was like, you should probably just like not have him doing the trash leads and could take like half those leads off his plate and qualify a little more. And the second piece was their close rate was like 10% to a contract on written offers. And so I was like, there's probably something you can do there to increase that. Now their average deal size is like 27,000 and they're wholesaling only. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I know you've worked with a few people on that side, but how could you approach that to increase the close rate with agents from your perspective?
So with agents, it's a completely different sales process. I'm going to lower this light. It's a completely different sales process than with sellers. And so what do you know about agents' personalities? Tell me what you know about an agent's personality.
Depends on the type, how good they are, I guess.
But what they
But
all
they
have
value their
egos. Do you agree
commission.
with that?
They want to
They
get paid.
value their. That's what they care about, and they all have egos, right?
Yep. Generally, yeah.
And so the way that you work with agents is you play a little bit of ego judo. What I mean by that is you use their ego to help you win the deal. And so what I'll do is like first I'll identify them as someone that already thinks like an investor, right? So like, for example, let's say you're an agent, you call me. I would say, Chandler, I already know you do a lot of deals. Like, you understand how investors think. You understand what an investor is going to buy this for, and this property is likely going to sell for an investor. So you saw the comps on XYZ Street, right? What are they going to say even if they didn't see them?
Oh yeah, I saw them.
Oh yeah, for sure, I saw them. Okay, yeah, so you already get it. Like, you saw that, like, best case scenario, the properties are selling for 260, 265 at a best case scenario, but like, as I'm sure you know, because we're investors and you work with a lot of investors, you're never going to run it like best case, right? You want to make sure that you're not going to lose money on this property. So we'll probably be at like 250, right? All fixed up. And what are you going to say?
Yeah, that seems probably about right. And then maybe if I really know my stuff, I might make a case, but it's like,
And then the thing with this is you have a higher status. You're like, oh yeah, well, I do the, like, we buy 5 to 6 of these every single month. We actually know this area really well. I see your point. We're going to go a little bit here. Like, all the legitimate investors are probably going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then I'll start going through. Okay, so we agree that it's worth 250,000, like, all fixed up, which I've already lowered by using that identity frame for them. From there, I will start going into into the condition of the home, like, and I'll start exaggerating everything by like $5,000 or $10,000, like, and it probably needs, like, what a kitchen costs. Like, if you're going to do a good kitchen, it's going to be at least 30 grand, right? Maybe even 35 for an area like this, because we're going to have to do the Wolf appliances and things like that. You agree there, right? I'm getting them to go like, yes, I agree with all of these things, right? Okay, so. And obviously, an investor is going to need to make at least 10%. So this property, it's going to sell for $750. We're going to need to at least make $75,000. Otherwise, nobody's going to buy it. That's how all of our investors run numbers. I mean, you understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I get that. And so you're basically just getting them to confirm down to the numbers that work. So that's like the first step, is using your status and status framing them as they should know this. They will always head nod yes. Most of them are retarded, and so they have no idea what any comps are. They don't have any idea what the repairs are. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody that, like, does know what they're doing, and honestly, those people are even easier to work with because they actually understand that people need to make money on properties. Mm-hmm. Where, like, real estate agents are like, what do you mean you got to make money when you flip a house? You know what I mean? So that's like the first way to get them down on price. Yeah. The next part is making sure that they know they're going to get paid, right? And anytime you can get them paid more, then they're going to be happier, right? And so we had an offer when we were doing direct to agent. We still do it every once in a while, but Austin's been busy with some other stuff. He was the main guy that did this. And I'm going to butcher this because I don't remember the exact terms, but we would say something along the lines of this. We would say, yeah, and a lot of the reasons why agents send deals to us, because there's a million investors calling them, is that we'll just pay them more. So we don't just pay them the commission on the buy side. We'll actually pay them a percentage of what we make as well. And yeah, we don't make as much money, but you make more money, and you're probably going to send us more deals after this, right? They're like, oh yeah, of course.
For sure.
So I'll add that in. So they feel like they get paid more. So I don't want to speak on exactly what the offer was, because I don't remember. I believe we would pay them their standard commission. They would get paid the standard commission from the seller, and then we would give them like a 15% commission on what we make on the back end when we dispo it. It was something like that, but I could be wrong. It might have been 10.
So basically, you're like, hey, like, more of like, come into this as like a partnership frame rather than like the just straight commission.
Yeah, because then if they need to go in for a reduction with the seller,
they have more.
They want to.
Yeah,
which happens. And so, like, we'll do that. And then the last thing is, and walk us through, I'm sure you have other options. You're going to get hit with multiple quotes when you're working with agents. Like, it's going to be the thing they're going to hit you with. What exactly are you looking for from our company to know that this is going to get done, especially when you're working with a first agent? Like, what exactly are you going to be looking for from our company and know this is going to get done? You'll be like, oh, I want to see this. I want to see that. I want to see this and that. All right, cool. So if I can show you all that, can you go to bat for the seller, go to bat with the seller and and help this get done for us. And they're like, yeah, I'll do that. If I can show you the reviews, the testimonials, we can give you the extra 15%. And they've already agreed on the price. That's like the formula with agents. So like they're running so lean already. They're at 80% profit margin. I don't know if I would hire a setter, because there's like here's the thing that happens when you start putting people. You have somebody that's doing really good in the business, right? They're bringing like 80% margins. They're closing at 30%, and you're like, oh, I just need to get them more qualified people. Okay, I get the view of it, but also the setter is going to disqualify people that the good closer would actually qualify. And so their overall margins are going to drop when you put a lower skilled person in between the lead and the closer. So that's why I love the direct to close model. Is like, if you want the highest profit margin possible, you have savage closers and the leads go directly to them. Because the second you get a setter in there, there's drop off because there's a skill deficiency that the setters don't have that the closers do, you know? So that would be that's just the way I look at it. I also see what you're saying is like some of those, they could probably filter through and be like, the agent direct model, you send out texts and they're like, oh yeah, check out these 3 listings I have. And they're like fucking new construction. Like, yeah, he probably shouldn't be calling those people. I agree with that. So maybe something like that, but I would focus on just the sales. That would be like, if they want to do more volume with the exact same thing, they just have to double their close rate. If they could double their close rate, then they'd be good. Otherwise, and also I would be like, dude, why don't you just do more? You got 80% profit margin. Just like hire another. Like, why not just hire another person and get them up to the same speed, and then do 200K at 80% profit margin? Like, why wouldn't you do that? That would be my other question.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because basically what they do. So here's another thought to add into the context. So one, I actually think the idea of going direct to like filtering more with the setter. So they already have a setter, right? So they get leads that come in straight from text, and the text leads go straight to closer right now. That's the way it works. And then they also have a follow-up person who's basically cold calling all the agents that are already like leads that have sent property addresses in the past. And they have like, I think it's 5,000 or 6,000, somewhere in there. I think it's closer to 5K leads in the CRM. And that one person's calling them. And so basically what I said, and this is, so they kind of have 2 lead channels, right? Essentially is like,
yeah.
So what I think that, one, I agree. I actually think I changed my opinion. I agree. I think you could do setter or have a little more qualification on some leads, but I wouldn't like have like a second step in there. I think going straight to closer. And potentially the other thing you could do that I think is like, you should hire another person who's doing like the follow-up calls, because 6,000 leads, you could definitely have 2 people calling those people. And you would probably get more deals. And then I agree. I think you should just hire another closer. I mean, I think that's basically
especially for that model. So like a lot of businesses have what you would call like an outbound closer, right? An outbound closer just means like, if you have enough leads in your CRM, just have somebody that their entire job is just to close deals inside the CRM. They don't get any new leads, but they get all the follow-up. So that business model, having an outbound closer could work. Like, hey, your job is just to come in and just work the leads inside the CRM and just rip through them and bring in all low-hanging fruit. You could pay them more money for that. It's also surprising they're at 20% margin, because usually when you have somebody that's direct to agent, you have to pay them like 20 to 25%. That means they're not spending money unless they're paying them 10%, and they're paying them 10% to bring in deals, which if that's the case, good on them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So right now it's the 2 partners, and one of the partners closing. That's why they're so profitable. So they don't have a sales guy.
Oh,
yeah.
So they just don't want to hire people.
Yeah, they just want to hire a sales guy. I do think
don't want to hire a
sales guy, because if one person's closing, 80, 100K a month, that's pretty much in line with like a wholesale business. So like a direct, like sort of paid acquisition business. So you could probably, I mean, I don't know why you couldn't hire someone for 10 to 15, 12 to 15% flex commission based on the production.
I mean, I'll tell you, like, part of this conversation, it just pisses me off because I'm like, what would Hermosi say? And Hermosi would be like, this is exactly how Hermosi would say it, right? He'd be like, so you bring in $100,000 a month at 80% margin. And what is your goal? Your goal is to grow and do more, right? Okay, well, then bring in somebody else that might not be able to bring in 100, but 80, and then your margin goes down a little bit, but you still make an overall absolute amount of money. You would say it like just like that, be like, you fucking retard. But then again, like I also get the point of people are like, man, I kind of just like what we're doing right now. Like we're taking home $40,000 each a month. I'm working 5 days a week and I'm working 40 hours a week. And I don't want to add any more complexity to the business. I want to just keep doing it and maybe do like a little bit better. Like I get that.
So maybe get better, like grow, I want to be improving, but it's not like I need to make $100K,
Yeah, exactly. So like at that case, then okay, yeah, just improve your skills, bro. That's the only other thing you could do is improve your skill set. And if you want to feel like you're getting better, because getting like better than 80% margin, okay, we got to 90% margin. It's like, all right, now you're taking home 45K each instead of 40K each. Like you just did like you got 10% better margin for another $5,000 a month, so
what they said, JC just said. So I was asking for JC. JC just said it's on the board for Q2 to hire out sales. Want to optimize first since they took a slight L last year when they brought on a team. Basically.
So you need to optimize your onboarding and your hiring process, not your sales. You know how to bring in $100,000 a month. You need to optimize teaching somebody else how to make $100,000 a month, which is a completely different skill than knowing how to do it yourself.
Yep.
That's what you need to optimize for. Not.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Ramping them
like,
up.
You know how to do it, bro.
Hiring them. That's the skill.
Yeah. So like now, obviously, continuing to improve yourself, but the easiest way to double your business would be to bring on somebody else to do that outbound, and learn how to train them more than getting your close rate. Like that would be an easier thing than getting your close rate up, from 10% to 20%.
Yeah, no, I agree because you can get them in if you get them to 80% as good as you. Let's say they're doing 60K a month, right?
Yep.
You have another setter. You're overall making an extra $30,000 to $40,000 a month profit in the business. It's easier to then increase yours and his close rate together. Then it's actually worth more because then instead of making at that point you're making 80K, instead of making 80K profit or 70K profit, now you're going from 100K to 200K profit if you double it. And so it's a more valuable problem to solve too.
Yeah, and I would also say this is specific for direct to agent, because if someone was direct to seller closing at 10%, I would be like, oh yeah, you're an idiot. Just you should be closing at 25 to 30. Like get to 25 to 30 first. But with direct to agent, it's such a different sell than direct to seller. It's like a complete different sale. And so like a 10% close rate, if you're making offers on everyone you should, it's not that bad,
No,
like
it's probably pretty in line with average, I'd say. Maybe you get up to 12 to 15, but I don't know if you get it at 20, honestly.
I mean, there's so many different factors we'd have to dive into. Like, who are you offering on? Like, are you only offering on properties that you have a relationship with the agent? That's probably why I never scaled that business.
A lot too on that. That's probably a bigger level on close rate is like actually like, for example, I think of Ray Rodriguez. It's like he has probably a higher close rate. I guarantee you it's like an organic inbound leads someone who's like watched our lives every week, who then books and hops on a call with, you or me. And like, they're going to close at a way higher rate than someone who comes cold from a fucking opt-in. It's like the trust is way higher. And so it's the same thing. I bet that would be a bigger lever in your close rate than actually getting better at sales, honestly.
Yeah, which is coming, like for me, I'm always like fixed sales first, but I will say with the direct to agent model, yeah, there are a lot of levers that you can pull as well. Because it's really like I look at that and I do have, I'm not just talking out of my ass. Like, we've done direct to agent, and I think what's closer to this is when I ran my own mortgage book of business, right? All it is calling agents and getting them to send you clients. It's the exact same thing with direct to agent. And the trust was everything. Like if I could get a referral, they would close at such a higher rate than somebody that I'm cold calling, And so, like that is a big lever that you could pull. But as far as like what he needs to work. If I'm running that model, you have to think about, your business is really a recruiting business, because that's how mortgage businesses run. Like they don't have look at New Western. If you want to look at the business that does this at the best scale, it's New Western. They are the largest wholesaling company in the country, and that's what they do. But really, what do they have? They have a recruiting and hiring business. They don't necessarily have a sales and marketing business. They have a recruiting and hiring business, and they're very good at fucking recruiting a shitload of people and hiring them and onboarding them and building a culture. And that's why they're the biggest wholesaler in the country, right? They're not bottlenecked by ads like some of the other companies that are big, but they only do $20 to $30 million a year in the wholesaling space when they run direct to seller. But you could look at Seller's Advantage. I don't remember their exact number. Not Sellers. I was thinking about them direct to seller. They're one of the big ones. Who the hell are we talking about? New Western.
Yeah, New Western.
They do way more than that.
They do like 300. Like I did the math based on their volume and average deal size that I knew of, in napkin math, 300 million.
Yeah, I think that one of I won't
like
name
a fucking
names.
lot of revenue. I mean, it's a big company.
A coaching group that I was in, one of the owners was friends with one of the owners of New Western, and I don't want to butcher the numbers, but I believe it was at least 15 million a month, and at least.
It was like,
and so
15 million a month is
180 million a year.
Yeah. I mean, they were doing like 2,000 deals, I think, in a year, and they were like 50. They said their average fee that they try to make is 15K, so maybe it's 12. So I mean, that checks out. That makes sense,
Yeah, so that's the model, though. That's the model with that type of business is you got to get really good at hiring good talent, really good at training them, really good at onboarding them, good at building the culture. That's what you need to do, and that's probably why you took an L last year with the team, is that you didn't have that skill set. Not that you don't know how to close deals, because you obviously do. It's just it's a completely different skill set to be able to train people and to be able to close yourself. Like.
Yep.
Two completely different skill sets.
And to be able to select the right people, because like selecting, I mean, I don't know. When you think, I talk about this all the time. It's like how I look at hiring people. But when you look at hiring a sales guy, what do you look at? Like how are you doing it?
So the first thing that I want to see is that they have the ability to use tonality and a natural conversation. So like if I have to take somebody that sounds weird and get them good at sales, it's going to be really difficult. So like think about it like this. If I was going to pick a car to drive to be a race car, like, okay, I want to make sure that at least it's got a good engine first, and so the engine with salespeople is their ability to use like natural tone and be conversational and not be like a weirdo. So sometimes, like I'm dealt a shitty hand sometimes because I train teams, and sometimes they're like, "Yeah, this is the guy I hired. Train him." I'm like, "Bro, what?
Who is this guy?"
Like somebody that can barely have a conversation. They're antisocial. They're a little awkward just to talk to. Like they have a hard time having a conversation. And you would talk to this person and be like, I would have a hard time having a conversation with this person for 30 minutes. That's going to be a really hard person to train in sales. Not that I can't do it. It's just like the charisma call with them. Yeah, first call with them is like, hey, dude, turn up your volume from like a 3 to a 10, because some people they just kind of talk like this, and like they think that they're gonna be good at sales because they're like just talking like this and they don't use any inflection in their voice. So I want to see somebody, charismatic is a trait, but like, can they use inflection in their tone?
How do you curious?
Can they be curious?
How do you interview for that? Like, do
you role play with them?
Unique, what's up?
Yeah, you role play with them.
Got it.
So I always role play with everyone. And so like role play with me, like I'll show you, man, I don't want to put this person on blast. So I just hired somebody that I'm very optimistic about this. I just hired him yesterday. I'm going to send his onboarding or his offer letter on Saturday. But this guy, like, I did a role play with him, and I could just tell that he was using his tone. He was active listening. He could have a conversation. Like, there was a lot of active listening. There was a lot of probing, kind of that happened naturally. And so I was like, okay, I can take that and I can train that person in sales. So that's the first thing. I'm looking for some, like, when I role play with them, I'm looking for a natural ability to use tone, a natural ability to listen, a natural ability to be curious, a natural ability to be empathetic. I like to have those right out of the box. I prefer not to train that if I don't have to.
Totally. Those are harder skills. You kind of it's more of the skill you have it or you don't have it, you know?
Yeah, or it's like very hard to learn. Like, it was very hard for me to learn it. I didn't have it, but it was like I had to freaking practice it a lot. So that's the first thing. Like, before I'll even test for anything else, I'm like, is this person going to be bad at having a conversation? The second thing that I'll look for is the grit and coachability. So I want to see how they respond to feedback. I'll give them coaching feedback right there. I want them to role play back with me. I want to see how they do. I'm looking for someone that is not afraid to be told no. And then the third thing is all culture fit. It's all like I just didn't, like, my last interview I did was just 30 minutes of me asking questions like, hey, let's say your pipeline's dry and you haven't closed a deal in 30 days. What's going on in your mind? And, like, I want to see how they're going to think about that sort of stuff. What are you going to do if I give you coaching feedback and you don't agree with it? What are they going to, how are they going to respond to that? Or, like, walk me through.
What kind of answer do you want from that? Because I can think of a couple of different thoughts, but what kind of answer do you want?
Okay, so, like, let's say I ask that question. I give you coaching feedback, you don't agree with it. Well, you've done this before, you've closed more deals. So I would at least try it, and I would try it optimistically. So I would go in and I would drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, and I would go all in and try it with the process and try it a couple of times and ask for feedback. And if I felt like there was a better way after I do that, then I would bring it up. I would tell you why, and I would ask you if you feel like that is a better way. And if you tell me, like, hey, that's a better way, if you have a reason that makes sense to me, that, hey, I like this act, like, let's say, for example, I'm asking you to continuously go deeper on the emotional impact. Now, like, I don't think I need to. And they tell me, hey, I feel like I don't need to do that because I feel like this is just a numbers thing. And I can explain to them, hey, this is how the actual transaction works. And they internalize that and they believe it. Then I'm like, okay, you're going to do good. You're going to do well with the process. So that's the kind of answer that I'm looking for. Like, I would try it. I would do it anyway. Because you have more experience in this industry, then I would just do it. Something like that. And so the last thing that I look for after, like, the grit and coachability is all culture fit. And I'll just grill them with questions. I'll send you the interview. I'm not going to share it publicly. But it's just me asking this guy culture questions. And at the end, I'll say something like, hey, I don't think you have what it takes to be successful here. I learned this from Sales Boss and Ren, and see how they handle it. And then some people will just shut down. Some people will give you a really good answer, and they'll kind of objection handle you a little bit.
They're like, fine, like, I guess what caused you to think that, or ask you that, or do they start to prove themselves?
No, like that. Okay, like, somebody asked me that, said that to me, like, I don't think you have what it takes to be successful. I'd be like, all right, well, that's not a problem. Just so I understand, what is your biggest concern? Like, what causes you to say that? Yeah. And then I'll start to figure out, how are they thinking through this? Mm-hmm. And if they say, the guy that I just interviewed, right, he did the same thing. And I was like, man, just people are going to tell you no over and over and over again. And he's like, well, are you familiar with how solar works in Florida? I was like, no. He's like, you're door knocking people that have already been knocked like 5 to 10 times. And those people tell you no all the time. So if I could do it there, I could definitely do it here. It's like, all right, you handled that objection pretty well. Like, you're on to the next. I'll tell you, another guy I had, I told him that, and he goes, well, yeah, I'm not right now. Like, I probably don't have what it takes to be successful right now, but I could tell you this, in 3 months I will. Because when I was at the solar company, I had no idea what I was doing for the first month, and I was the bottom of the leaderboard. Within 90 days, I was at the top. And so if anybody can be successful, I will be successful. I was like, damn, that's a good answer. I hired him. He did really well. So, like, that's the kind of things that I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to like how would you answer the question, and then like looking for something like that too, because that's how I think about it.
Mhm.
What if someone like, and I think this would be a red flag if in my opinion, if someone
Yeah.
if someone kind of got defensive in that moment and they're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not a good fit. Like, we were having a good conversation. Like, you just don't, I feel like you changed up on me. Like, and started gaslighting you. Like, how would you, I feel like that would be unlikely. That'd be to me, that would be a red flag because they kind of can't control their temper almost in a way.
Yeah, that's how they would handle seller conversations.
Exactly.
The seller would shut them down. They would get emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is not what
So
you
they
want.
handle it. Yeah.
Another thought. So on the culture questions, when I go through this, I usually do 3 interviews. First interview is kind of like a discovery.
Mhm.
Second interview, so like it would be like recruiter type first convo. Second convo is with sales manager or myself or whoever it is that's like in charge of it. Role play, panel interview. On the panel interview, we'll kind of like BS, just a handful of questions of like whatever red flags there are, and then going into the questions of like what it really takes to be successful. Is that something that you would want to do? And like kind of insert like,
they're all going to say, yeah.
You think so? So how would you do it? Because for me, I feel like you can kind of like, if you go hard on it, I feel like generally you weed out the weak. Based on the reply, because if they say yeah, but anything else, or like it's kind of like
I do that on the first one.
Okay.
So I do that. I tell everybody on the first one, like, this is going to be the hardest sales job that you've ever had, and I'm really hard to work for. And I do all that on the first one because I want to see if they're going to book the second call. So that I try to screen that out first. On the last one, I'm really trying to figure out how they work.
Yeah, I go over the KPIs in the first one.
Yeah,
like here's the KPIs we expect to hit that every single day, every single week, every single month.
Yeah, the last interview for me is more testing their mindset. Like what is their actual mindset? What are their beliefs? So like, for example, I asked the last guy, let's say that you had your own company. What would your 3 core values be? You could only pick 3. What would they be? And like, he gave me 3 that I was like, oh, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
They can think quick on their feet. I like that.
Yeah. Because the first one he said is competition. I was like, oh, cool. That works.
Yeah. I think go ahead.
The last part, dude, I had so many interviews that I did a bad job with before I got good at them. Like, I think like the biggest thing is just constantly build the reps, like hire people, knowing that you're going to have to let them go as soon as you realize you need to let them go. Like that's the trap that people fall into, is they keep people on way too long. That's like the curse of wholesalers, is they're like, oh, I got somebody that will work for me and I don't want to go interview more people.
Yeah.
And so let me just continue to try to make this person work when they should have let him go a long time ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think too, like, there's a bunch of different ways to like interview. And I think it's kind of like the questions you ask, and like even in a sales call, it's like there's frameworks and like things you're trying to get to, but it doesn't mean you have to ask the same questions. Like, doesn't mean my script needs to be the same as your script, and your script needs to be the same as this other guy's script, or the questions you do. But the point of it needs to get there. And I also think, like, because I've also hired a bunch of shit salespeople and some good ones, and there's commonalities between them. And I think that, like, I don't know, I'm sure if you had to hire, like, let's just say, like, build a system to hire 100 people a month, and that was like what the business became to, it would become more processed out. But a lot of times for me, I feel like it's kind of start with like laying the land of like what things look like and like what it takes to work here. And then like going deeper into like questions into like what they say, it's like just diving into it of like past results of like times they've dealt with adversity, success, like how do they learn? Like, hey, like, have you ever sucked at something and gotten good? Or have you always been like your last job, like where'd you rank in the teams, and like how'd you feel about that? And like how'd you look at the number 1 guy compared to where you were? And if in it, like, how much revenue did you do? And I find if people don't know like where they ranked, they don't know how much they're putting up, they don't know their stats, they don't know how they got to where they're gonna get, like, you can just basically not hire them because they're gonna suck.
The other part too that is so overlooked is you're gonna be bad at hiring at first, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Just understand that the first 30 days, like, people have this feeling like, oh, I hired this person, I'm going to be with them for a year. Like, I have to be so good at hiring because I'm going to be with them for a year. It's like, dude, the first 30 days, like, you're only going to be able to tell so much from interviewing someone for 3 to 5 hours. You're getting their absolute best version of themselves.
Yep.
When you really start to see if someone's good is when they start working for the company. And so, like, the first 30, 60, 90 days, they're still kind of interviewing, you know, like, we're still seeing how they're going to work out. And so that's the part where you have to be like, okay, this interview's over, you're fired. You know, it's just the only caveat to that is when you have W-2 employees that you have to have a paper trail. Because I have had W-2 employees in states like California where literally I had to be like, all right, you didn't hit KPI. Here's a performance improvement plan, or here's a verbal warning.
Here's a write-up or whatever, you know.
I've had to do that shit. That's just super fucking gay, but
dude, I've
had to do it.
It's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Dude, have you fired people on the first day before?
Oh, fuck yeah, bro. Yeah. All the time, dude. I think multiple times I've done that. Yeah, like this last round of hiring, I fired somebody on the first day.
Yeah. I think that, dude, it's interesting because I totally agree. I think that what happens is, I'm just trying to get my thoughts in order here. But when people like really start working with you, they don't know if you're like dead ass serious about like what you talked about on the call. And so therefore, when you bring them on and like you get into the meetings and you go through the onboarding, they're like, oh shit, like you weren't joking, you know?
No, yeah, 100%. A lot of people like, dude, I have a 50% attrition rate in the first 2 weeks. And so half my reps will quit in the first 2 weeks, and the ones that stay forever. Like 2 to 3, I should say. But like the ones that stay the long run. But yeah, you're right, because they'll see they didn't hit KPI, and I ask them right there, like, okay, why didn't you hit KPI? How are you going to make it up? When are you going to let me know? I'm like, oh shit, he's actually going to hold me accountable. Fuck, I know he said that in the interview, but I thought he was just saying that to look cool.
How do you do it? How do you do it if someone's hitting the activity? Let's say they're making they're hitting call goal, they're hitting the like convo offer goal for, you know, your guys, but then they're missing the contract goal. I think
that's my job.
What's up?
That's my job, is to help them with that. So like if they're hitting KPIs, they're hitting talk time, and they are also, I can also see that they're implementing the process, then my job is to help them get the deals across the line as a sales manager. And so I will jump in on some calls with them, like help them get some deals across the line, kind of build up their confidence a little bit, coach them a lot. Like that's my job, is to get them to be able to perform. Now, if they can't do that after 30 days, I'll just tell them. Like I had a rep one time that was like, dude, trying really hard, really good guy. 30 days went by and he was young. He's really young, and he just was still struggling. I was like, bro, I can keep you on and I'll continue to coach you if you want. But usually when people don't make a contract in their first 30 days working the CRM, they never end up really making the money that they want to make here. And so do you want to just shake hands as friends? You can leave the company, like no hard feelings. And most people will be like, yeah, I kind of saw this coming. Some people be like, no, dude, don't fuck that. I want to fight for it. I've never had those people work out, but I'd be willing to give them a try.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like I've had that workout once before, but just because the guy was super young, he like had it, but he's like, it just wasn't quite clicking. He's like 19 kind of guy, you know, but
yeah,
but it took him like it took him a good 4 months to like actually work it when he wasn't making any money. So,
yeah. So somebody said we do curative title, and honestly, your bottleneck becomes litigation. Yeah, that sounds like a terrible business.
40 lawsuits at once.
40 lawsuits at once, bro. You couldn't pay me enough to, like, I just think about this. If you're doing anything where I don't exactly know how that works, but if I'm at risk of a lawsuit, like there's anything that you're at risk of a lawsuit, it's like immediately not worth the risk anymore, because lawsuits can bring you to zero, bro. Like you think about staying in the game. How do you stay in the game? Is don't get sued and don't lose a lawsuit. And so like that would be the scariest thing I could. that'd be the most stressful thing. I don't know if he's just saying like people are in lawsuits with each other and he's helping with that, but
I don't know exactly. I know there's like I have a friend who does it in like the land space, and like you're like buying people's equity off the deeds and stuff like that, and like I don't know how it exactly works, but
I feel like it's a side hustle, not a business.
yeah.
Like what I mean by that is like, do you know anyone that's making $10 million a year doing that? And if you don't, doing that strategy, it's like, okay, well, it's a good way to make money, but I don't know if it's a great business opportunity.
Yeah, it's probably hard to scale. There is a guy who's doing a lot that I've heard about. What's his name?
What is a lot?
I don't even know, dude. A lot might be like several million.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's still like
with like a small team, no marketing spend, so it's like, you know, probably profiting multiple seven figures if I had to guess, that's pretty good. But
yeah, I mean, it just to me seems like a really hard.
That's the guy, dude. It's so much BS to get there. But if you want like a lifestyle business, you know, like it's probably a pretty sick
yeah
on that.
You have 1.5 million probate. You mean like you have 1.5 million in revenue closing this month? What does that mean?
Yeah, a 1.5. That's a tough one. How long do you train new hires? We answered that one to your realize there are lost calls, dude. I think you kind of know within the first like week or so.
How long you train them before they're a lost cause? Like, yeah, they have to get a contract in the CRM for the first 30 days, in the first 30 days. And if they don't, they're probably not going to make it. I'm really curious about this 1.5. Like he has a 1.5 million assignment. Is that what you're like? You have a $1.5 million profit assignment or double close that you're making? I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That would be the largest assignment I've ever heard. I think before that, it's like 300,000 or something like that. Yeah. I've never heard of anyone making a $1.5 million.
400K one.
Yeah, 1.5 is a lot.
Yeah, that's a fucking crazy assignment fee. So
yeah, just take that and retire, bro.
So, dude, actually, you know how we talked some about the luxury wholesaling? Net profit.
He's gonna make 1.5 million. Dude, I gotta let you come up here and talk about that. How do you? What is like a $3 million house?
It's got to be a big ass land deal, I imagine, because I think Logan Fulmer does land. Like is it an entitlement or is it like just a big plot of land that you're gonna sell to a developer?
Shows how close-minded I am too. I'm like, yeah, no, that sounds like a shitty business model. He's like, oh, I have $1.5 million deal closing this month. I'm like, all right, fuck me, I'll shut up. Let me do that. I'll send the court docket link. I wouldn't know what if you send me a court docket link, I would not know what I'm looking for. I would be like, oh, what is this? You know?
I need to call them, sit on hold for 2 hours just so I can get told.
I mean, you couldn't pay me enough to do that type of thing, but apparently you can make a shitload of money if you got $1.5 million deal closing this month, because that's the biggest assignment. Have you ever closed a deal that big before, or is this going to be your biggest? If you tell me like, oh yeah, we do these all the time, which maybe you do. I know like people that do big land deals, they do close some pretty big ones. Then I'll be like, you know what? You should start doing more of that. What do you think about YouTube ads right now?
I don't have very many people running the YouTube ads right now. I do know a couple people running them and they're having success. I think that, yeah, I don't have too much info on them right now, to be honest. What about you? Do you?
We're still doing them. They're still doing well for us. Yeah, we're doing them mostly retargeting.
Yeah,
but yeah, I still like them. I mean, I think it's very similar to digital ads. You're not going to get like PPC quality. I know people say it's like PPC quality. It's not PPC quality. It's not. There's nothing that beats like searching.
Like 1 in 40.
I don't want to give you some bullshit number. So what we're doing, it's a lot better than that. But remember, it's retargeting PPC. So it's people that clicked on our PPC ad and went to our form, like went to our website, and then we're just retargeting them. So I think it's a lot better than that.
Got it. That makes sense.
But I'd have to go look.
You're spending like $1,000 a month on it.
Yeah. Like very, very low spend.
Yeah.
Whatever we can. Hyro says 3 weeks in NEPQ, 84 leads, not all picked up, 5 contracts, 2 assigned. Didn't know it would be this much of a factor. Hell yeah, Hyro. That's what I'm talking about, bro. Are you running Chicago Facebook ads? No, Hyro's going to be a savage, bro.
Chris Chico.
Oh, Chico's Facebook ads.
Yeah.
I hear that name. I hear that name come up with Facebook. I've never met.
Yeah, I've never heard him or met him. No, but here's this guy. So Logan Fulmer, he has a book, DPA Summit. They do a summit each year.
I'll tell you, bro. Since we're gonna wrap up soon, the crazy thing about shit like that is like this Matty Rex. He's gonna post in the group that he's got a $1.5 million assignment, and he says it's the deal of a lifetime. But still, there are gonna be people that are like, "Oh fuck, dude, I got to change my entire strategy to just doing."
You know how many people I talk to that are like, "Dude, how's land?" I'm like, "Bro."
Yeah,
they're like doing like, you know, a few $100,000 in houses, and I'm like, dude, it's got its own fucking problems. Yeah,
like
Rosie said,
who's your buddy that does the ultra marathons with you? That does like he does like he gets land ready for developers and sells it to them, right?
Yeah, I have a buddy who does that. Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse. Yeah, like think about how much skill that like how many other skills that
he has a very impressive skill set with land, and he's fucked up a lot, you know.
Yeah,
but he's good at it. He understands how to do it, and that's why he's successful. But there's a whole another like the thing with land that I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen it. I have a lot of people that I'm friends with that do land, and the thing is, it's easy to get a contract, but it's hard to sell it because it's low price, not as much demand, and the profits are small unless you're really good at it. Like you're gonna make $5,000-$10,000 on a lot of these deals.
Or you have the other skill set of like I can I don't know what all goes into it, but you buy the land and you get it ready for a developer and then you sell it to, you know, DR Horton or one of these big developers. But it's like, bro, you could have just spent that time learning how to get better at marketing and sales and made the same amount of money. Or like, you know, like it's so like, for example, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I think there's something to be said about like leveling up your skill set to be able to do bigger deals if that's something you want to do, and like having the ability to take bigger hits. I also agree that it's like I was just having this conversation with someone yesterday. It's like, dude, if you keep switching up all the time, then you're never gonna fucking get anywhere, you know?
Exactly.
Like you gotta pick one path, go down it, and then like for example, I was talking to the guy who wanted to get into commercial, and he's like wholesaling, you know, runs a good wholesale business, does, you know, by himself, like $50K a month kind of thing. He's like, I want to start doing commercial. And I'm like, well, dude, like just fucking do it on the side and keep doing what you're doing, or hire a guy to replace yourself. You know, like why just fully switch? Or that would be kind of dumb in my opinion.
Yeah. And I always think like for this strategy, I don't know what curative title is, but if let's say that I get the concept, but I mean, I don't know how to do it from end to end, but that $1.5 million deal, like if you're just going after deals like that, you're crushed if that deal doesn't close. You know what I mean? Like if that, like you're going to be so excited for a year waiting for that thing to close. It doesn't close. And you're like, man, I had put so much time and energy. That's for me personally, my strategy. And the reason I don't do things like that is I understand how like the value of having consistent deal flow, where I do know people that do these big ass, like I have a bunch of friends that do syndications and they'll raise all this money and they'll put all this due diligence and spend a bunch of money. And they spend like a quarter to buy one apartment complex. And sometimes it doesn't close. It's like, bro, you just like, to me, I'm like, you just wasted a quarter of your life when you could have been focusing on things that are just like base hits. And I know there's an argument for it. I get it. I'm just telling you guys my point of view of how I look at business and how I look at life. Is I'd rather something that is not such a huge fucking swing and a big, like, no, I want something consistent, predictable, that I know has a clear path to grow.
Yeah. And then on the side, you can take bigger swings if you want, you know, like maybe,
yeah,
or if you want, you know, you don't have to. I'm in the same
Yeah.
boat, dude. I like consistent income that pays every month that you don't have to worry about. But also like having a $1.5 million deal close would be fucking sick too. You know, like it would be cool. There's definitely
My
like the reason that's a shiny object is because it is cool.
It's because it's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
My mini version of that is to continue to do deals in SoCal because we do get a lot of 100K rips in SoCal.
Yeah.
But like we were just in SoCal, and there's a reason why I'm in other markets too, because I like the volume and I like the consistency a lot more than just SoCal alone. But like that's about as like wide of a net as I'll go. I'm not gonna go start chasing fucking.
Are you gonna start flipping?
Hey, I'm gonna go.
We talked about that like maybe like 2 months ago, a month ago.
Yeah, but right now, dude, I've got it's not a focus of mine. Like we'll buy properties and turn around and sell them, but like flipping houses has not been. Yeah. Also, I've got too much on my plate right now to start taking on flips. You know, I'm having to manage a contractor and stuff like that. I'm like, maybe I'll wait till the right time for that because I can still make money wholesaling.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's see. Matt said we do land as well. That's the other half of what I do. I feel like Chandler's marketing plus John's sales would crush land so fucking hard. Raz is unreal.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Emmanuel. I will not flip in SoCal. I'll flip in other markets, but not SoCal. I've played that game before.
You can get fucked so hard in SoCal. In 2022, there was like, dude, so many people got hell with their deal.
You know what, Maddie? Jon at selleasyusa.com. I'll do that. You said if you have deals that fall through with title issues, I'll play that game for sure. Like I'll send it over to Maddie and he gets me paid on them. Like I think that's a huge good value add, right? Like I still think it's very hard to predict, you know, like that sort of model, but and it seems like it's very time intensive. But shoot, dude, if you want to make some money together, I'll do those. I have a fucking pipeline full of deals I could send you right now that have title issues that we couldn't figure out.
Yeah, send me an email too because I have can send you some deals as well.
Yeah,
that's cool. ChandlerStain.com. The title it is. I have a client who does a lot of that stuff in Philly because there are a lot of messy deals in Philly, and he doesn't his volume's lower, but his like deal size is like pretty impressive, you know, for just wholesaling. So
awesome. 1 sec, I'll be right on, man.
But look,
yeah, that works.
Doing it. This guy. All right.
Yeah, I gotta jump on. All right, we talked about wholesaling this one. That was fun. Wow. We should do that more often. A lot more people stay on when we talk about wholesaling. So you guys go crush it. We'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.